talking about The Prestige, obviously, a movie titularly about magic, but it's really about two magicians, but it's really about obsession. It's about hubris. It's about pride. It's about winning at all stakes in whatever you've defined for winning. And then the people around it, in which you have different roles of different types of significance, including the trickster and the betrayers and who's betraying who, and somewhere in it, these folks seem to have gone too far, but they don't even realize it because they still, at some base, like each other or respect each other. It's it's literally the Hatfield and the McCoys, except it's just Mr. Hatfield versus Mr. McCoy, um, and it's very, again, it's very Greek in that the Greek heroes weren't good; they just won, and they won by any means necessary, and oftentimes caused a lot of destruction around them, including like killing kids, wives, other people's kids, wives, cities, stuff. So it was very interesting in the context of the Odyssey as well. There was also the question of what is sin, because in this, clearly pride and hubris is a bigger sin than, say, adultery or murder, and and other types of things. So, and as Thomas told me, everything is pro wrestling, and everything was pro wrestling. So I don't. Let's go with our newest guest first, Aaron. So, what are your big takeaways from the movie? And by the way, everyone, there's going to be spoilers here. Okay,
Yes, let's not speak like this came out yesterday.
Yeah, there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, sorry. Um,
Yeah.
what's your takeaways from the movie?
Yeah. So this is definitely one of my top of Chris Nolan's movies. I'd say probably top three. And I think the story really demonstrates perfectly to a T how Chris Nolan tells stories. You talked about how it's very Greek and how tragic it is and how it's kind of murky and whose side are we on, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, who should we be rooting for, and a lot of his films are like that. So I think that fits to a T. And then honestly, you kind of go back and forth between them as a viewer because you can really understand and I guess sympathize with each character, especially when it comes to loss. Both of them experience tragic losses during the story, and one of which it kind of drives the plot forward because Algier loses his wife. Once that happens, it's kind of like no holds barred. They're just going back and forth and tit for tat over years, and it gets very very ugly, to the point that I feel like there should be some rules as far as who you're impacting during this back and forth between the two. When it got to the point that uh, this is after the gun with what is his name? What's Christian Bale's character?
Alfred
Yeah,
Bowden.
Al. I'll say Bowden.
Alfred Bowden.
When it gets to the point that they are interfering with each other's live shows and it's impacting the audience in such a negative way, not just in a way that, oh, like this looks bad on the magician or whatever, it is impacting the audience's safety. That is when I'm just like, oh, this is going way too far. And so I think that for me, the movie is really good in not only drawing you in with the way that story is being told, and you kind of really get into the character development and really getting intimate with these characters. Like you're invested in each of them, but you're also kind of just like, oh, I don't know who I'm rooting for. I'm kind of in the middle. These guys are each have sympathetic qualities and both have irredeemable qualities. I don't really know where to how to feel about this. And then it's just a very unique story to tell. I'll say another movie that came out about a magician in 2006 was The Illusionist, starring Edward Norton and I think Jessica Biel. and it came out in a very close window with this. So I'll say I wasn't that moved to see The Prestige after seeing The Illusionist and kind of being like, meh. I mean, it wasn't bad because Edward Norton's very talented, but it didn't
hit the same.
It just didn't hit. So when I went into The Prestige, I had very low expectations just to be completely blown away. And I think part of that is the unique story material, but I think what Chris Nolan what he does is just very masterful. He's very, very good at what he does. And so yeah, that's my overall.
Mr. Thomas?
That's funny that you said you couldn't pick a side. Me, I was very much picking a side from the beginning. And I was on what's his name? Hugh Jackman's side. What was it, Robert or
listen, I'm perfectly okay if we refer to them as Batman and Wolverine because because when it comes to the great Danton and Angiers, and there's 4 different people we're talking about. And I don't.
Yeah, I was very much on his side because you killed my wife, man. It's on from that moment on. How dare you? And I had so many questions by the end of the film, and I watched it with my fiance, and we had like differing opinions on it by the end of the film. But I wanted to kind of ask you all, at what point do you think that Batman, aka Alfred, I believe, at what point were the twins at play? Was it at the very beginning when they were tying the knot? So did one twin not know what knot was tied? Was he honest at that point because the other twin did it? Or was it at the point where they decided, okay, we need to go full on, when they saw that other magician, the Asian man, and how he embodied the trick? It was that when he decided to, okay, let me bring my twin into this, and we can have this, this singular life in order to, embody this character.
Not to answer your question with a question, but Jeff, one of the reasons why I say it's like you need to watch this more than once. The first time I watched this movie, I was convinced that somehow Christian Bale had already met Tesla and used the machine and made the clone. But one of the things that you kind of figure out as the movie goes on is they're so poor. Like they keep bringing up like how poor they are. There's even a point where she mentions this to him, like, we need money. He's like, I'll give him half my food if I have to. And then I realized the second time watching the movie that he's been there the whole time. Like they've always been too, because as far back as the movie goes, he always says, I have a trick that's going to like change the world. He's always been talking about it since they were in that little room together. Like, I have a trick that's going to change everything. So it's just they were really always there the whole time.
So one twin really didn't know the knot that was tied because he wasn't the twin that tied it.
He never knew. They didn't know.
That is my belief.
Yeah, I believed him in his diary that he couldn't remember which knot he tied. He knows that he thought he knew better and wanted to do better. But as far as the twin is concerned, I think that the twin was there way before the story began. I think that the twin's always been there, from day one. By the way, we probably should decide on what to call the characters, because one of their names is Alfred, and one of the frustrating things is the character of Cutter is played by Alfred from the movie.
He played Alfred in the movie.
Yeah, and
we all know Michael Caine. We all know Michael Caine. All right, so
we all know Michael Caine.
There's Al, and then there's Fred.
Freddie. Well, that's the thing. It's Alfred. That's the thing. That's one of the things. One of the girls called him Al, and the other one called him Freddie. When you put together, it's like Alfred, which is his name.
Yeah.
The whole time, there's clues everywhere. But my biggest
we should call them by their actor's name. Yeah. Would that be better? The actor's name.
We'll be okay, because we're really talking about 3 people here. So when it like this movie, it's a little. It stands out. I feel like there's a lot of sacrifice. Number one, on everyone's part. Everyone makes a sacrifice, and it's more of a revenge movie. But how far do you let the revenge go on? I understand that his wife died at the beginning, but she knew the cost. Like we all knew the cost of getting in we signed up for this. You know what I mean? Like as a professional wrestler, you go out there with somebody, there's risk and injuries that could happen. You could lose your life at any second. She knew that jumping into the tank. So at what point do you forgive somebody? Because she was just as much to blame as Christian Bale was. in that point.
But
In
did
my-
he
The head
know? Did he
nod.
know? It seemed
When
like
he
she
tried to
was
nod, he
down
did the
for
head
trying.
nod.
She
Well, she
wanted
got-
it. I'm just saying. I know. I'm
Well,
not
well,
saying
time.
she's asking for it, but like she
Let's go see
gave the
first,
head
then
nod.
Aaron.
She gave the head nod. She said she could get out of it.
Yeah,
She did.
but I don't know if Hugh Jackman's character was aware that that was what that agreement was between Christian Bale and this
Not at all.
actress, I believe. What was her
He
name?
wasn't. It was all the show
Piper?
must go on.
Piper Parabo.
Mhm.
I do love this,
So-
and I will say the one thing I want to get out, because I know we're kind of doing like opening statements here, is like the death of their spouses both foreshadowed their own deaths, which I thought was very interesting. As the great Danton's wife drowned at the beginning, that's how he died every time with the clones, and then Alfred was hung at the end after his wife committed suicide, which is a just crazy aspect of this movie that we kind of forget along the way, that she was just there hanging.
So this movie opens with the Michael Caine character talking to a young girl who we meet later, but and he's showing her how to do a trick, and he's explaining the 3 phases of every magic trick, which I desperately wish I remembered what the words they use were. I do not.
Right now, the first one, and I'll relate this to professional wrestling for our crossover. The pledge, which is the opening, much like the shine of a wrestling match, Jeff. When the good guy comes out, shows you what he does, give you a reason to cheer for him. Then you have the turn, which makes you whatever. But in wrestling, that would be the old comeback. Good guy's getting beat up, and then he starts to come back. And then the ending is the prestige, where everyone cheers, salutes. It's not disappearing; it's coming back. We would equate that to the finish of the match, Jeff. Bunch of reversals and one last tombstone for the crowd. The pledge, the turn, the prestige.
Right. And this was all set to making a canary disappear. But the trick is that the canary is actually being crushed by a cage that folds. So they're killing the canaries, and you're pulling another canary out of another box, which unfolds and all that. So it's sleight of hand. So the dirty trick of it all is that there's not magic at all, and these guys are so obsessed by magic that they absolutely believe that the other one has magic, and then they actually seek out Nikolai Tesla, who in this is played by David Bowie, by the way, which is fantastic. And who is sort of the hero of the 21st century for doing all sorts of things that people impute upon him that he didn't necessarily do. But he was rumored to be able to create free, endless sources of energy drawing it just from the sky. But he was running out of funding, and everyone kicked him out. And I don't know. But footnote aside, if you're going to pull like electricity out of the sky, doesn't that just mean that you're making a constant lightning storm everywhere and probably going to kill everyone? But anyway, they also they did explore that more deeply in Oppenheimer with the non-zero possibility, atmospheric conflagration. In any event, so this whole movie starts with the sleight of hand that there really isn't magic. It's really a trick. But these 2 guys are so obsessed by magic, or these 3 guys are so obsessed by magic, that they're going to make it real, even if it kills lots and lots of people. And I'm okay with calling them Batman and Wolverine, because those are 2 of the most sociopathic superheroes in any universe.
Especially Batman.
And killing the bird in this scene kind of sets the tone about getting your hands dirty and at what cost, which turns out to be something I say every day of my life now, just because I find it very intriguing to say, but at what cost? Not what price, at what cost?
See,
That's right, at what cost?
And this is why I was so sympathetic to Hugh Jackman's character, because he came in, just with a love of the game, not necessarily wanting to do like the dirty aspects of things. Like, he didn't want to kill the canary. He wanted to entertain the people without like going into tricks that were like more high in danger, like the gun trick and yada yada yada. And he was the one who suffered the first loss.
Let's get this right. He still killed those birds.
He did.
He did. Well, he bitched about it, but he still killed some of them at first.
Well, by the end of the film, we see that he definitely goes through. He gets to the point that he's, killing people, or at least like clones of himself.
But I'll say this, Jeff. he made a very big mistake. And everyone, I'll tell you this, life advice, don't date people at work. So it's his own fault that he was dating.
Oh, yeah, with
you know what I
us.
mean? You can't meet someone at the bar after hours. You got to go and date somebody at work. I don't want to say the analogy, but like he put himself in this trouble and got emotionally invested with a coworker who was at risk of losing her life every day. That's all.
And we also we have a little bit of a Frankenstein story, and that Cutter is actually an older magician who's trying to, he's sort of stoking this rivalry between his two apprentices to see which one he can carny off of the most. Like he's like Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar all this time, and then all of a sudden the tribal chief comes around. It's like, well, this has got legs.
He gets taken advantage of the most out of everyone in this movie. He gets bamboozled the most. He has blood on his hands accidentally. So I feel like I end up being very sympathetic for him. But initially, I don't see him as like building the rivalry. He's trying to put on a show and continue the business that he was up in, and put these two dudes on and try to bring them up together, because they were all doing the show together, whether they be the plants or not. But he was at least trying, or they were
would have been perfectly happy if both Brett and Sean made it to the top of the card, but when only one of them was,
it's funny you say that, because I thought the same analogy was Brett versus Sean.
Yeah, it's Brett versus it's absolutely Brett versus Sean. To any stakes, there's something that I want to bring up, and we can skip to it later on, but the roles of women in Christopher Nolan's movies generally, but in this one, it's like they're like nothing. It's like you cast Scarlett Johansson for nothing. I mean, you didn't even get a nude scene out of her. I mean,
oh Lord.
I mean, at least give us that. But
doing in that timeline.
I mean, I don't know if the nude scene would have contributed to any better use of her than just having.
I assure you it would have, but
they already have her being the mistress. It's like, what else?
Right.
I don't know.
A layer to her character development for sure. Yeah.
PG-13.
Well, there's supposed to be layers to it. The point is, they could have cast anyone in this role that could do it, because the women in this case, they were, I mean, in some ways they were, maybe you're grounding for the characters for their souls or whatever, which as you mentioned, the foreshadowing, but not so much. I mean, they were sort of dupes and enablers, and as clever as they made the Scarlett Johansson character to be, like she was sort of playing both, like everyone's playing both ends. It's basically don't trust anyone, but she wasn't particularly likable. The wife wasn't particularly likable, but she was truly a victim.
I loved her the most.
I thought she was very likable.
She was the only one that had anything between her ears and could see what was happening in front of her. She caught on the first.
Yeah.
She was on her way to tell Scarlett Johansson what the deal was. And there's a moment where they switch off, and it kind of gives you a little a hint that there's two of them, that they're at the fair, the circus, something along the lines of that, by the fair merry-go-round, and they switch off and they change notes. She goes, "Oh, she knows," and the little one wants to go here, blah, 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 and they switch in the night. But it's very telling. I feel like she was the only one that was smart to it and could see the mood swings. And she uses that line where he says, "I love you." He's not today.
Yeah, but I don't think she knew that they were two different people. I think she was completely
different. I don't think she knew either.
I think she
knew that he wasn't an honest man, and I think that was what she was going to relay to Scarlett Johansson's character. I don't necessarily think that she knew that they were twins, because if you knew that, why drive yourself crazy about this man not loving you or not consistently loving you or being honest? I think her suicide was a testament to her not figuring it out and just driving herself to the point of no return and just going mad over it.
And she didn't think the real mistress was Scarlett. She thought the real wife was magic and winning. That's the real wife, and that's what she gave up on. That he cared more about that than her and their child, who is the same little blonde girl that we see in the beginning of the day,
because only one of them was obsessed with the other, and like the one really did love her and the kid. I'm not sure. That's what's crazy.
They were both sharing both women.
That for me is where I was like, no.
Yeah.
I don't.
So how can you sympathize? That's why I can't sympathize with this character, man. This Christian Bale. I was like, this is the true villain of the film.
No, because I think the way he meets the way he meets the wife, whose name I have here, Olivia.
Sarah.
Sarah?
What?
Oh,
No,
Sarah
Olivia is Scarlett Johansson. The wife is,
the
is
way he meets Sarah, where they meet with the little kid and he does the old switcheroo, and then he's at the front door, and then the other one comes through the back door.
creepy.
Oh, man.
Creepy.
Twin magic
No.
on the
Yeah,
first
that was
great. It worked like a
creepy.
charm.
No,
I
that's
loved
odd. And this is
I
what
loved it.
this is when I feel like they didn't have any women in the writers' room, because if I'm on a first date with a man and for whatever reason
No,
I'm walking
today,
up
yes.
to my house with him,
But in
and
the
then suddenly
1800s,
he's in my apartment, that is odd, and that
in
is
the
a
1800s,
call
if
to
someone
stop.
did magic like that, I understand what would happen next.
I'm telling you, the
That's
hero of the
weird.
movie was her nephew, because he at the beginning
Yeah.
said he saw through the trick. He's like, but you still killed his brother.
Yeah, the kid
Uh-huh.
called it out.
The kid. I mean, Michael Caine said it at the beginning. He said it's a twin.
Scarlett Johansson says it too. He's like, "There's a double. He has the gloves. It's a double. He hides it. He just hides it."
They both everyone agreed with this. Is why I couldn't get with Algier, because not only was he letting the bitterness consume him, but he was not taking any advice and or wisdom from anyone. And you notice that the two people closest to him turned against him toward the end.
Yeah.
To me, it felt very intentional to show him as this like toxic character, even though, you know, you could understand it. He had a great loss, and he really double lost whenever Borden shined in the audience. For the audience, when he was feeling less than Borden in his career, that is when he was like, absolutely not. And he just got completely consumed. But yeah, he did not listen any step of the way. Anytime somebody said it's a double, it's a double. Here, I literally have his diary. I don't understand it, but I'm been behind the scenes. It's a double. And he didn't want to hear it.
The diary is also crazy because if like Batman, the voice of reading Batman's diary is Wolverine. Like they're reading it in the opposite, the other person's diary, and it's like, and they're both bullshitting on the other end because you can't trust these carnies because we all work for the carnival, and it's just a book of lies. Everything's a book of lies, but you have to catch up.
Yeah, you have to wonder how many of these fake diaries that are out there just perchance going to make it to their intended recipient. You know, so yeah, but these are long cons. These are years long plots of revenge under the pretense of I'm going to be the most famous and the best, and they're going to have to wallow in pity as they watch me succeed. Like neither of them was planning to kill the other necessarily, but it all took another level when Wolverine shot the two fingers off of Batman, and then of course Batman's brother also had to have his two fingers chiseled off to mimic the exact same wound, which I'm not sure that's how bullets and chiseling works, but probably not that important.
What sacrifice will you make?
He's lucky that's all he shot off of him, because you killed my wife.
It will. The scene that comes immediately after that is him in the restaurant freaking out. Or maybe it wasn't immediately after. Maybe it was after he was buried alive. But he's like, I almost lost something very special to me today. And the whole gig was almost up if the other one gets buried and can't come out the box.
That's right. Yeah, that was his double, who was his like footman. And of course, we're wondering how these poor folks have a butler. And I did look to see if it was him in disguise. And obviously it wasn't during the movie, but at certain times it was. But it always was. It's just it wasn't supposed to be. I mean, the two of them would drop in each other's shows in disguise, and their disguises were terrible. I mean,
yeah.
Well, the other one was always in the background, like never focused on whatsoever. So he's always kind of in the shadows. You don't see him until he's standing in front of you at the jail almost.
Yeah, but that's part of the movie in the movie, because they made us think that their skills of disguise were terrible, while there's the actual master of disguise is there in front of you, fooling everyone in their lives, including wives and girlfriends, sometimes on alternating days.
Goes back to my guy Kung Lee Soo that they sent him to, the old Asian guy that did the goldfish trick.
Yeah,
that dude, he's the equivalent to the Undertaker. Lives the gimmick 24 hours, doesn't go outside without in all black with his trench coat on, live in shades. It's a testament to the old time where back in the day when wrestlers had stupid characters, you stayed in character all day. Don't let the people see you weak. And then the same thing equates to magic, because everything's pro wrestling. So it's all work. So everything's a gimmick.
one of the swerves, which was not really a swerve, because they pretty much told you everything the entire time. But I think the one swerve that if you're in the audience, you probably were really proud of yourself for figuring out, and then in the end you said, "Oh, duh, that's not the one I was supposed to be figuring out," was that Wolverine was Lord Calder or whatever it was, because money was never an issue. He's always like, it doesn't matter what the price is. Yes, I'm Tesla's last financier, and of course Tesla was running a con too, because he's just one step ahead of creditors and authorities and the Illuminati and of course the one world order, the one world government. But the interesting part of that is that Tesla kept saying that magic is imperfect, which is, magic and science have been conflated, for 4,000 years, probably longer. And Arthur C. Clarke has that famous quote that, any technologically, sufficiently advanced is indiscernible from magic. So something like that. And that's what. So it turns out Tesla, they didn't even know that they had been cloning Lord Calder, Wolverine's top hat, multiple times, because it would move it like 50 yards to like the northwest or whatever. So, but they only figured it out when they accidentally cloned a cat that they thought that they killed, but instead they heard meowing, and one cat then led them to the other cat who they thought was dead, and they're in basically a field of black top hats on the snow, and it's like, this is cloning and teleporting. How can I put this into my trick? I must have this machine, because this is, even if I have to cheat to have the greatest magic trick of all time, I've got to cheat. Although it's not really cheating. It was just far more advanced science than a folding cage that kills a bird. It was still man-made trickery.
Real magic.
Real magic. That's right.
That ending was dark.
Dark. This movie is dark. There are no good guys, and I absolutely think that the Alfred the Cutter, the Michael Caine character, was an absolute carny, playing both of them against the middle, and whoever came out on top, he would have been on their side.
No. Like, tell me why you're wrong. Listen, the obsession to steal the man's kid is crazy. I don't know how we got from stealing tricks and shooting a dude in the hand because my wife died to like, I now have possession of your child. There's something real outlandish about that.
I don't know if he did that to steal the kid. I don't think so. I think he did that as a courtesy, so the kid wouldn't be in the workhouse and in the orphanage in like these early times, which is basically.
I think it was all leverage to get the trick, but he already knew the trick. But in the midst of all that, Michael Caine was bamboozled because he was helping him along the way, and he didn't really know who Lord Cardwell was, and it just turned out to be Angiers, and he got bamboozled along the way. That's why he allowed Christian Bale to get his revenge at the end.
Well, he was basically the nanny raising Batman's daughter for Lord Cornwell on Lord Calder's largesse and on his.
He didn't know what was going on downstairs because he had those blind stagehands.
Yeah,
he got worked. He got worked, and that's why he was upset, because an old-time carny normally knows all the tricks, and he was getting bamboozled, and he's supposed to be the person doing the bamboozling.
Oh yeah,
and I think if he were playing both sides, or if he just were trying to get with the winner, then he wouldn't have switched sides at the very end, because Christian Bale character wasn't the winner. He was already at the chopping block.
He ended up doing the right thing by letting the daughter go back to.
He did. But so I think that is
like that's only
him not being in on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, was that the right thing? Because Fred is not a wealthy man.
We don't know this.
Fred is not a wealthy man.
I thought about that too. Yeah.
I mean, he's never gonna have to split his money again, but
he's still broke.
I'm gonna go two things on you in this one. Is it the right thing to do? Because how in God's green earth do we know that Fred Christian Bale is the father? We have no idea who the real father is.
No, I don't think he was.
My question to y'all is, which one died? Because I never thought about this. Did Freddie die or did Al die? And then I understand that they both. Right. Okay. And I understand that they, from my understanding, one loved one, the other one, but they both loved the daughter.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that this is the conversation that we were having. It's like, well, who's the real father? The guy who died, the guy who would do anything, even see his brother die. I'm like, are you sure? Wouldn't the real father be the one who dies for his daughter, so his daughter can have a free life out of the hands of this monster, rich or otherwise? And by the way, with the help of Cutter, the two-timer, he probably squirreled away some money enough to. They're not going to live like landed gentry, but they'll live okay in
He would have lived a far better life underneath the care of
died in the end,
in his
which
mansion.
I think is the
he already proved himself to be like a pretty decent guy before. Even I think his madness was more associated with this particular character, with his rival. But outside of his rival, he wasn't a bad man. You see how he tried to leave Cutter out of it. He had a chance to go against Olivia, knowing that she was switching on him. He didn't do that. He seems to be a decent man. It's just that this rivalry is what's taking him over the edge. I feel like she probably would have been better off with him, with his resources, and with his, with him being there to care for her, as opposed to this uncle who never loved her mother, who would go through these, who had such an ambition that he let nothing stop him in this desire to be the best magician. Like even I feel like he's the villain.
Maybe it was the uncle that loved the mother.
His whole desire was to revenge his wife until he became more mad. This other character, I just got to be the best. And that's why he's the crazy one.
To be fair, when Angier, I keep saying Algier, when Angier had his double and they were doing their transported man, he was not thinking about Calder. What's his name? I always forget his name. He's not thinking about Fred or Al. He was doing good. All he cared about was the applause. Okay?
Yeah, true.
And he didn't mind. But when he got embarrassed for having a double, that is when it was like, oh no, let me find. I need to find a way. I need to find a way to outdo this guy because this is the last straw, and I'm livid. Then he got sucked right back into the drama.
They all got suckered in, and that's how he ended up in prison. As he went like Al, the good twin, in my opinion, the lesser of the evil twins, the only good guy in this movie, possibly, was trying to get this man out of the box underneath. He was trying to help him, but it was too late, and he got caught up, and then they could never switch again because he was behind bars.
But how is he a good guy? I mean, he's two people who, to everyone, wife, girlfriend, daughter, friends, he's one person. He's conning the entire world. I mean, basically, both women we saw and any other woman that came before them or man was basically the victim of rape 50% of the time.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch, they are very specifically. If you go back and watch this, you can tell when the opposite one is with the opposite one.
That's true, but did that stop him? This is why I want to believe that Al is the father of the young girl, because Al is the one who loves Sarah.
I'm not sure it always worked out that way, because
but love never stopped the man from smashing. The other dude could have been there. Sarah was there one night, and they could have smashed.
They definitely.
We don't know who is who from the very beginning of Sarah.
We don't know who this. We know that they shared the women because the wife said, "Today you love me, today you don't love me." So I mean, are we to assume they didn't wake up in the same bed together and she didn't realize one day he was different? No, of course she knew that.
But I will say this: there is a scene where they're fighting, where Freddie is fighting vigorously with his wife, and Fallon actually takes the kid and kind of like consults her, because that's the day it's the wrong one. They're just in different positions. If you go back, that stands out when you go back and watch it, Jeff. I'm not hating on you. I'm just letting you know that that's one of the little tidbits that you get back on that, and you can almost see it where the one is almost a necessity for the other, even when they're both like the parents.
I totally agree that when one is in the character of magician, he is that character, and when he's not, he's allowed to be the human. I think that they trade that too to try to keep their sanity. I mean, I think that they're each their yin and their yang together. So whoever the doppelganger dressed as the footman is on that particular day, he can be the comforter, he can be the consoler, he can be the support staff, but that doesn't mean that it's not Batman or Batman Earth too. It could be. I just think these are interesting questions because I don't think there's actually an answer in the movie. I mean, there were times that I thought that their haircuts were slightly different, like in quick succession
There's
scenes.
a little
And
spiky in
Uh-huh.
one
yeah,
of these
a
scenes.
little spiky, a little
Freddy's a
modern.
little
I'm like,
spiky when he's a little upset.
yeah,
It-
I'm like, how'd you get that cool haircut? Like in
And then
1870?
then he was like doing the mustache gimmick, but that was like he looked like Johnny Depp and Pirates of the Caribbean. He had like the mustache gimmick, and even she was like, "What is this? What are we doing?"
Mhm.
He's just working on something else. He's working on something different.
So
Right.
I had a question, and this is something that me and my fiance kind of argued about after the movie because I wanted to. We were thinking, why would Christian Bale's characters? Why wouldn't he just tell his wife, of all people, the woman that you're spending your life with, that this is what's going on? Like this is how the trick is. This is we're two people, and I think
He's not married to his wife. He's married to magic. He's married to his
so.
obsession. He's married to
This is
himself
what
and
I
his
was thinking.
fame.
There was a point in the movie where Christian Bale's character, I'm going to say this was Al, he revealed to her several tricks. He revealed to her the truth about the canary trick. He revealed to her the truth about, particularly, he revealed the truth about the gun trick. And after he did, she mentioned she had like an off, like a reaction that was, oh, this isn't impressive now that I know. And for me, I thought that's the reason why he didn't tell her, because he has this thing where he wants to seem grand in the eyes of the audience and even in the eyes of his wife. So if he were to tell her the trick of this thing that he's able to accomplish, she would no longer see him as, okay, this is this accomplished man that I'm married to.
They
My
say
fiance believes it to be that he didn't tell her the trick because he wanted to keep it secret. And because because he did mention early in the film that once the audience knows your secret, they're no longer interested once they know how the trick is performed. So what do you guys think is the reason why he never told
he
his
says that to a little kid. He tells her they'll beg you to tell him, and as soon as you tell them, they'll stop caring.
Right.
I think
And that
there's, I
applies
think
to the
there's
wife.
several factors. I think that's definitely one, especially of him wanting to appear grand. I think another part is you're really not supposed to, like, that's his biggest trick. You can't reveal the biggest trick. You know what I mean? Like there's some things you have to go to the grave with. And then on top of that, him and his brother were sharing this life from the very beginning of him and Sarah being together. If he were to tell her once they got married that him and his brother been sharing her, she would have the same reaction you had when the brother appeared through the back door in the apartment. Like
Crazy.
I'm going to go a step lower, even simpler. She was his wife, sure, but that wasn't her main role for him. Her role was audience. She was the ultimate audience. If he could fool her, he could fool anyone. So she was just part of his. She was just part of his act. So that's why I don't think any of these are being great. Oh, do you know this person over there? Is this what's going on here? See the superior? Thanks for
No,
being here.
I was just thanking them for being here. Thanks for watching. Appreciation.
Oh, listen to you. That's great. This, I think, is a question that we touched on throughout the show. And I think that actually Thomas really noted the foreshadowing aspect of it. But I think that, I went afoul by going rated R and Scarlett Johansson. But I think that the women were just sort of cardboard cutouts to an extent. The wife was the closest thing to a fully fledged person in it, but I think they were purposely like Greek chorus characters. They were background characters. I always use Babylon 5 as the example, or like Battlestar Galactica. You've got your characters that talk. You've got your characters that talk a lot. You've got the characters that talk every now and then you got your characters that never talk at all. The women could have been any of the bottom two, which is why, in my mind, you could save money by casting someone other than Scarlett Johansson, who probably commanded $15 million a movie at the time. But it's not about her. She's a great actress. I just I don't know that she, and who knows what then got edited out and didn't make it to the movie, because she obviously showed some range, being a simple Cockney girl, but not so simple after all. She might be simple, and she may talk with a bad accent, be from the wrong side of town, but she's not stupid. She's no fool. But she got fooled like everyone else got fooled, because these guys are like demigods. They're like the Greek heroes. They're demigods. Their obsession, their pride, their absolute devotion to living the gimmick, because for one of them it's lifelong. For the other one, he just really wanted to be it. He and and the rich. I think there's a reason the rich guy failed at the end. That he lost at the end because he wasn't living the gimmick the entire time. He actually made the choice to try to live the gimmick, but he never could quite get there, and he would cheat and he would murder. But I think we need to talk about the esoteric philosophical question: is it murder if you're just murdering clones by yourself by technology that you don't understand? Because he killed about what was it? They had a 100-day run. So he was prepared to kill up to 100 versions of himself. I don't remember if this grand finale was the 100th show or the 99th, but whatever it is, he killed scores and more than the Gettysburg Address in time, the amount of clones that he murdered nightly by himself. And Michael Caine knew that because he was like, what are you doing? He's trying to stop Batman from breaking the guy out so he can live, which is basically a redo of when they were trying to save the wife from drowning and failed then as well. It's almost like full circle redemptive arc, but they didn't even want to give him his redemption, even though he wanted to kill his rival. I don't think he had quite figured out yet what was going on. He's like, wow, you're a much better magician than me. He didn't know that he was usually he gave him the word Tesla as a goose chase, because Tesla is like saying Einstein or Oppenheimer. He's like a Hawking. It's just a famous scientist. So anyway, that was a bit of a monologue, but I know the E-Boogie definitely had the eyes of someone who wanted to say something.
No, I mean, I was just completely in agreement.
I like that.
Part of it, though, for me, was I interpreted it as Angier completely lost his humanity by the end of this, and his ability to kill himself over and over and over again and commit to doing so. And also, what is his self at that point? Because from the very first time he uses the machine, he says he doesn't know who was the clone and who was the original. So he completely loses a sense of his self at that point. I think that is that was the prevailing message I got about the end of his character, which was deeply sad.
But an interesting thing is, I looked for this earlier. There was no distinction between any of the hats. Like, none of them were frayed or fouled. So, I mean, the way the trick was engineered, it was actually Angier Prime was dying, and the clone then became Angier Prime and killed himself. He just found the Angier that was a few seconds younger each and every time. It was just so it's a success. Many bodies, same brain, same obsession. None of them said, I need to live. They said the trick needs to live, at least until we're done with this run of the show. Then I'll be the most famous man in history. Very Odysseus, very Agamemnon.
See, I was wondering about who was the surviving Wolverine every time. But to answer, I would say Anita's question, I don't feel like the female characters were catalysts for the men's downfall. I think, if anything, they were representations of their potential redemption. Like, if they were to kind of forget this rivalry and go off and live their lives with, the women in their lives, they would have had at least a longer life for two of the three characters. But I think the true catalyst of their downfall is just their obsession with besting each other. That's what it really came down to.
I only think that came because the wife died. If the wife died, none of this would have ever happened. Scarlett Johansson would have never been the new assistant. They would have never had gone off in a different direction. They would have all been working together and been happy in a perfect world. But
no, because there was already that Christian Bale's character was already showing that desire to best what was going on. He wasn't satisfied where they were, whereas Hugh Jackman's character, he kind of was, but he also wanted to better himself because he was thinking of different magician names he could do.
He was happy because he had two incomes. And they only had to split the bill in the room between one of them. And Christian Bale's out here getting one income, and he's got a brother upstairs not working.
That's crazy. But as far as Hugh Jackman's character is, like, who was the surviving clone every time? wasn't his whole issue with the trick he had before was that he wasn't the one at the end to see all to get all the applause. It was always the lookalike. So I was thinking, did he somehow arrange it that the original version of him was always the one that ended up there? And if so, how could he do that?
No, I think they're the same. I think the clones were all the same, and I think the twins were exactly the same. The twins were, they weren't just twins. They were like identical clone twins. I mean, ones were twins naturally, the other became twins artificially, but they were exactly the same person, and all they cared about was themselves. I don't think the women were catalysts to anything, and I'm not sure that Thomas is right that if the wife, because I think this is one of these things where fate is inexorable, that something would have happened somewhere along the line to trigger this rivalry somewhere along the line, no matter what. Which magician makes a greater thematic sacrifice for their craft? I have to go with the people that for their entire lives pretended that they were one person and fooled everyone around them, even to the point of chopping off fingers. Now, I know that there was the serial murder thing going on at the end, and that's pretty intense, but that could just be, man, like when you broke and you hit mania. This was calculated from an extraordinarily early age. It would have to be pre-teen that they committed to the gimmick and lived it all along. So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I would agree.
That takes a lot of sacrifice of self as well, because a lot of people kind of build their identities through their connections with other people, through what they do, and if you're having to split that with someone else, you can't, to me, forge something truly authentic that can sustain you, because you're also having to split that with a completely different life. He had to, I guess, continue what his brother was doing on the outside of the marriage, because at that point, the brother had nothing for himself. Before,
the only innocent party was the little girl, so she had to be saved. It's her that saved. But I mean, if you're not going to be jealous of your twin over sharing Scarlett Johansson, that there's about nothing that you're going to be jealous with. If you're willing to share, I mean, that's probably the most sensible reason why she was cast in the role. Because if two dudes could share her and that did not impact their relationship one bit, then they were all about the gimmick.
Poor Sarah. Poor Sarah, the wife. But
she's the one I admire her the most.
Yeah. I wanted to discuss something that you brought up, Jeff, about the clones, Wolverine's clones, and if they were all in on the goal of making the trick the best of the best, right? And I don't know if they were. I don't think that they were all on one accord, only because when we see that he tries the trick for the first time on himself, and if they were all in on it, they wouldn't be, the other version of him tried to stop him from shooting him, right? And then when he fell into the water tank at the very end, or in the beginning, and Christian Bale character saw him in the water tank, that version, that clone of him, was trying to get out. He was trying to survive. So if he was really in it for the audience and getting this trick, wouldn't he just accept the death at that point if he was in it?
The natural reaction is to struggle.
Yeah, I think your body cannot.
The way I read it was that first time that he went through the machine, he picked up the gun. He, as in first person Wolverine, shoots the clone. But then because of where the clone ends up, he, as in first person Wolverine, goes into the tank every night and has to die. And the clone comes out and gets the prestige. And he gets to live till tomorrow. That's the way I always interpreted it. Jeff?
I did too. And they also even spread out where he was going to be, and they figured out where in the balcony that he would appear from and all that. So yeah, I'm with that. I think that the first time it happened, I think it was just shock value that what the fuck, this is real. It's one to see it with hats, it's another thing with a cat, it's another thing to see it with yourself, especially when not believing there's a twin the entire time is a subtext of the movie, if not the surtext. But yeah, I think as far as when you're in the tank drowning, I think your body involuntarily, I'm sure plenty of people really intend to commit suicide and by hanging, but their body is still going to try to reject it.
Mm.
There's certain things that even your crazy hubris can't achieve. So, it would have been something if he went in and he was completely at peace like that, and when the guy's trying to do it, he's like, no. But maybe if there's any rationality, maybe he didn't want the Christian Bale character to be in on what the trick is either. Maybe he didn't want to figure it out and just think it went wrong that night. So you can stick to kayfabe and rationalize it that way. But I'm going to go with reflux. But either way, it works for me.
Okay.
All right. Well, see, you said you've got a good hour. We're at 58 minutes and 43 seconds. Is there more? Is there something that we should talk about? Is there anything else in this movie that we should explore that we gave short shrift to?
I think we covered a lot of it.
I want to mention one thing that I saw. The internet taught me this. I didn't come up with it myself. Their initials, Alfred Borden, AB, and then Robert Angier, RA, does spell Abra. And his last words were abracadabra, which is the very famous.
Oh, that's cool.
Jeff, what does abracadabra mean in whatever language that is?
It actually does mean, there you see it, or it appears. It's Arabic.
Yeah, that's what it is. I saw that somewhere else too, but now I know. Now we know. Thank you. I knew you would know that off the top of your head.
That's
cool. It's one of those things you encounter in the garden of doom / thought. It's like kada. It's but phonetically and anglicized, it's abracadabra.
Shout out to David Bowie for being awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
I love that he played Tesla, which was crazy. And Jeff, I don't know if we'll do a sequel to this episode, but apparently there's a Tesla versus Edison movie. It's called The Current War.
Oh yeah, that might be very interesting. Also, shout out to Tesla's assistant, who's the guy who plays Ulysses Claw in the MCU, who at some point I guess will be the Claw from the MCU, who I guess got promoted in the MCU, but in the comics got demoted to basically fighting Daredevil. So I guess maybe we'll see that. But he was the South African arms runner, which is something that's near and dear to all of our hearts. We all love South African gun runners, of course, because see, your first 3 husbands were all South African arms runners. So,
that's what they tell me.
Yeah, mine too. So not the same ones, folks. What did fiance and you disagree with about the movie? This is
just about the motivations of Batman withholding his identity from his wife. Like, what was his reason for that? Was it because of her reaction to finding out about the gun trick and how that was perceived by him, or was it because he just wanted to keep the secret of the trick?
Okay, well, what did he think? By the way, the reason why I'm asking isn't just because I'm obsessed with C's fiance, but he's also been a 2-time guest on this show, on the Dark Tower from just a few weeks ago, and a couple months ago, he and C both on Caprica. God bless them for being the only other people I could get to watch the show with me and enjoy it. But yeah, so what was his decision? What was his ruling?
He said it was because Christian Bale's character wanted to keep the secret of the trick. And I believed it was because he did not have a positive reaction to her reaction of finding out the truth behind the gun trick, and how she pretty much thought it was unimpressive once she knew, and he didn't want to seem unimpressive. And that was like one of his biggest fears, was being unimpressive and a nothing and a nobody.
Yeah, pride. Keep living the gimmick. They're magic. They're married to the magic, even if it's fake magic. They're married. That's the most important thing in the world. So you're right.
Yeah, magic pays the bill.
Yeah, but it's
So I was right. Let's just have that on the.
Everyone, there's no wrong answer here.
I showed him this recording later.
No, it's everything you said. He doesn't want to get caught by his wife, and obviously having a twin, who's letting him in at the same time. But once she finds out, and I think in the movie, she found out and she was on her way to tell the other woman, and then we all would have known, and then the jig was up. And then now we're all broke. So I think there's a little bit of that too. You got to keep the secret close to your heart, because you sell the secret out, and now you're not selling shows out.
Maybe. All right. Well, everyone out there, you can make up your own minds. You can send us messages. You can send messages to obviously the Sports Jedi Network or Sports Jedi Media Network. Mr. Thomas being supplied with the finger up. Yes.
I have one more note. I know we're a little ahead of it, but The Prestige is going to be back in theaters on January 21st for one day only. I think it's the 20th anniversary. So if you're not doing anything on January 21st, 2027, get your tickets because it'll be an IMAX too. So maybe we'll do a little field trip.
We'll all meet together in Wheeling, West Virginia in the middle. And
just repost us the day after and say we went yesterday.
That's right. We'll just someone can AI a picture of the four of us together. We'll be like our own little Prestige. We'll all be holding dead canaries or something. Maybe the live canaries. Hey, better than dead little girl.
God!
My own experience with law enforcement, having a picture with a dead canary and a dead human, the dead pick the canary every time. So I'm gonna. That's I like to leave a show with a piece of wisdom. That's my piece of wisdom to all of you out there. don't get caught photographed with a dead person. So there you go.
Sound.
Yes, indeed. Everyone, tell them if they want to ask you a question or if they just want to find and follow you and support you, where they can do so. From the furthest to my show left is C. So we'll start with you.
Okay, so if you would like to see more of me and talk stuff with me, my channel is See the Superior. Coming up tomorrow, I'll be discussing lanterns with a couple of my friends. And
Good first episode.
We'll talk about it. And also, I do a monthly book club with a couple of my friends, E being one of them. This month we are reading Sula by Toni Morrison, so we'll be discussing that at the end of the month or possibly at the beginning of next month, depending on everyone's availability. But yeah, read along and join us for that live discussion then on my channel, See the Superior.
Absolutely. Thomas?
It's just me. I'm at Mocha Traps. Hang out with me and Jeff on Monday, 6:05 Eastern Standard Time. We review Major League Wrestling Fusion, weekly episodic television. Come listen to me rant about my former employer as me and Jeff talk wrestling and everything.
Not enough. At some point, he's going to start giving some inside dish and scoop. He just has to break his own fourth wall. He's still a worker. E-Boogie, where we find you?
Yeah, if you are at all moved to ask me a question for some reason, because I love Chris Nolan, you can hit me on Threads or Instagram at C as in C _Aaron_go.
All right. And if you don't know where to find me at this point, you don't deserve it. But you can find me on the X at Icarus Fell MD for regular stuff, for wrestling nonsense at Dose_Evil. You can, of course, find me on Facebook and whatever. I'm like the easiest person in the world to find. Nobody wants to find me. So, and actually, let's sort of keep it that way. All right. Thanks to the panel. Thanks for Thomas for actually suggesting to do a podcast, which I'm not sure he knew what he was getting himself into, but I think that you enjoyed it in the conversation.
Love the panel.
Who died? We'll never know. And the panel, what's not to love about these folks? I made a new friend. You made two new friends, and two of my best friends are now friends and will probably become best friends. Actually, you'll probably Wolverine and or Batman and
rivals
or Alfred away from me and leave me in the dust. Probably treat me like Catwoman. Whatever the case may be. That's all right.
Abracadabra.
You're better off without me.
Bye, everybody.